This classroom lesson is a cooperative effort between the Wisconsin Public Service SolarWise for Schools program and the Create Energy Center. Welcome, students and teachers, to Watts on Our Roof, a series of lessons in which you'll work with the photovoltaic performance data produced by your solar array. This is Lesson 6, PVWatts Comparison. Introduction and Lesson Objectives. In this lesson, you'll determine the actual annual production of your solar PV array. If you've completed other lessons in this series, this should be easy. You'll determine the theoretical annual production of your solar PV array through an online estimator called PVWatts. Then you'll calculate the percent difference between these two values and consider reasons for any significant variance between them. And if you're willing to think beyond this specific lesson while completing it, you'll begin to understand how professionals estimate the performance of a solar PV array before installing it. Determine the actual annual production of your solar photovoltaic array. Let's begin with the easy part, the part you've probably done before. Navigate to your school's eGauge output profile. Like always, you'll see the last 24 hours of PV production ending with current time. Change your time frame to the last full year of production. Here's an example of what you'll see. More important, here is where you'll find the information you need to complete this part of Lesson 6, determining the actual annual production of your solar array. Copy down your number with its unit label. Then, take a screenshot or snip of this output profile to paste into your student guide. Now let's determine the theoretical annual production of your solar array. Use the link provided to access the PVWatts calculator splash page. Developed by the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, the PVWatts calculator is a web application that, with a few simple prompts, allows its users to easily develop general preliminary estimates of the performance of potential solar PV installations. It should be noted the PVWatts calculator is not suitable for producing take-it-to-the-bank estimates of costs, savings, and performance. Actual estimates are always done by qualified professionals and take into account many other site and design variables. Enter your school's zip code or your school's street address here. Click on the Go button. The next screen you'll see is titled Solar Resource Data. Latitude and longitude coordinates for the location you entered will be shown. There will be a map and a pin to your location. Surrounding weather stations gather weather and climate data that enable PVWatts to make solar PV projections for your location. Click the orange forward arrow to Go to System Information. The System Information page looks like this. There are 6 information inputs you'll have to enter for your school's PV system. Your teacher will provide you with information on the size of your system in kilowatts of DC power, the type of module used in your array, how your array is configured, your system losses. Every solar PV system has them. The tilt angle of your solar array, and your system's azimuth, the compass direction your PV system faces. As you enter these values, it's worth your time to take a look at each information tab. The DC System Size Information tab provides you with insights into some behind-the-scenes assumptions. Change the default value of 4 to the actual size of your system in kilowatts of DC power here. Clicking the Module Type Information tab gives you the difference between the 3 general types of modules available for you to select. Again, your teacher will provide you with guidance on your input choice. Keep in mind, every solar PV module is different, and you're only provided with 3 general types to choose from here. This may be a place where the choices available for your input may not match your actual module that well. If necessary, change your module type here. Your array type choice will probably be pretty straightforward. Change it here if needed. System performance losses are default set to 14.08%. These losses are explained behind the Information tab. There's little for you to change with most of the default settings, but there are 4 values you may have to contend with: soiling, shading, snow, and age. With a little guided research, you may be able to customize the percent losses for your location each year due to soiling, shading, snow cover, and age. Click on Loss Calculator, then on the Information tab for soiling. Soiling is easy to understand, but hard to quantify for a specific location. If you have definite, accurate data on its effect at your location, you may change it and then save from the default setting of 2% annual soiling losses in the box here. 3% annual losses due to shading is the default setting in PVWatts. Again, if you have definite data to either increase or decrease that number, you may enter it here and save. As you can see, system losses due to snow cover are set to 0. Of course, if your array is snow-free year-round, keep it there. If not, your instructor may provide you with snow cover system losses, or may leave this for you to research on your own for your specific area. If necessary, replace the default value of 0 here and save. The percent loss due to the age of your system is set to 0 in PVWatts. That's because most people use this as a tool to estimate the potential electricity production of a proposed new solar PV array. We can change it, but it's a little tricky. It'll be tempting to just enter the age of your array in years. Instead, you'll enter a percent loss due to aging. As a general rule, your modules decline in performance between 0.5% and 1% per year. Your teacher will provide you with the age of your array and what percent loss to use each year due to aging. Do the multiplication and enter your percent system loss due to aging value here and save. If you changed and saved any of the system losses default values, you'll see the estimated system losses updated from 14.08% here. You're welcome to read through the information tabs of the remaining 6 system loss categories. This will help you gain insight on other PV system design and production losses that simply can't be avoided. However, the default values provided by the National Renewable Energy Laboratory are reasonable and shouldn't be changed without definite, accurate data to replace them. Now back to system information and your array's tilt angle. There's interesting information here for an estimator relating roof pitch to array tilt angle. But your array is probably fixed in place. Your instructor will provide you with the tilt angle of your solar PV array. Enter it here. Information on array azimuth may be found here. The default value is 180 degrees, or due south, the perfect front-facing direction for a fixed PV array in the northern hemisphere. Clicking on the Info tab opens up this page. Read it and then, with information on your array provided by your teacher, if necessary, change to your array's actual azimuth here. Before departing from System Info, click on Advanced Parameters, opening this page. Provided here are indeed more advanced parameters, providing more information than is required for our lesson. Check out this information if you like. Better yet, read it carefully and learn about it. Even better, become educated and trained in what it means, putting yourself in position to pull down a high-paying and meaningful job. The advanced parameters default values provided by NREL are reasonable and we won't be changing them. But you've changed the system information values as directed, so now it's time to go to PVWatts results. At the bottom of the results page, you'll find a summary of your location and PV system specification inputs. At the top of the page are your PVWatts results. Take a screenshot or snip of your results to paste into your student guide. By month, you'll see how much sunlight, expressed in kilowatt hours of energy per meter squared per day, would be expected to hit the modules of your solar array. More important, you'll see how much energy in kilowatt hours your array would be expected to produce each month and each year. We'll convert kilowatt hours to megawatt hours using simple math that looks like this. So now we have a theoretical annual energy production value that can be compared to your array's actual annual energy production. How do they compare? Calculate the percent difference between the actual and theoretical values. In this example, that's an 8.4% difference. Might there potentially be any obvious reasons for this difference? The first thing to do is take a careful look at the eGauge annual output profile. Does this profile suggest anything? Consider the several weeks circled in January and December on the profile. Extremely low output during these periods might be explained by unusual but natural weather conditions during those times. But the really low output periods could also have been caused by a variety of other factors, none of which are natural. Equipment breakdowns, wiring failures, monitoring equipment malfunction, and more. No conclusion can be made without research, but there's a visual reason to do some research over those two time frames. Now it's time for you to use your eGauge to find the actual production of your school's solar array. Determine its theoretical performance using PVWatts, calculate the difference, and consider reasons for differences. In review, in Lesson 6, you've learned how to compare your school's solar PV system to the PVWatts estimating tool. First, you'll determine the actual production of your solar array. Using some straightforward input prompts, you'll estimate the theoretical performance of your solar PV array with PVWatts. Then you'll compare your results, calculating the percent difference. If the difference is sizable, you'll consider why. And as a consequence of that work, you'll receive a good working orientation to the PVWatts calculator, a commonly used online tool in the solar PV industry. After this, complete additional work for this lesson, then move on to your next lesson of Watts on Our Roof.